Namaste, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the next episode of Power of Interpretation with Blu Yogi. Today, we have a special guest. Um, I feel really honored because of the robust history that I've have found out about this man. I'm going to have him introduce himself, and just so you guys can know who he is, and then we'll get into the topic today, which is right and wrong. Is it real or is it fake?
Right.
But what's up, Joseph, man? I wanted you here because of our conversation, not only at the real estate meetup place that we met at, but also I spent a couple minutes here with you right now, and I really appreciate your perspective on how you've gotten to the place you're at now. Can you just tell people a little bit about your practice and a little bit of history of it?
Sure, absolutely. Sure. Thanks for having me on, Blu.
Hey, no problem.
So, my name is Joseph Sparrowhawk. I have a long list of things that I do and certifications, but I guess the ones that probably be more interesting and appropriate given our current topic of conversation are my background in hypnotherapy and also Buddhist studies. I'm a disciple of Shaolin Master Shihan Fan of Shaolin Temple, Los Angeles, and I've been in Buddhist practice and in martial arts, and you could say really the way we do martial arts at Shaolin Temple is more like medicine arts. It's really, sure there are warrior aspects to it, but ultimately the movement is all designed and practiced to be healing, which is ironic, right? When you think about, Shaolin Temple is the mother of Kung Fu.
Yeah. I was going to say, what is that martial arts style called?
Yeah, typically it's called Kung Fu, but in China, Chinese boxing is called Wushu, right?
Wushu.
And so when you're seeing Bruce Lee do his thing, this is all like Chinese boxing, basically, which is martial arts and Kung Fu styles, right? Kung Fu means, really what it means masterful practice. So
didn't know that.
You like gardening, you could be a Kung Fu gardener, right? Or you like to cook, a Kung Fu vegan chef. Now
that's done now.
You down with that one?
Yes,
that's a good
I love that.
Yeah. So I also produce a show on a channel that I started called Wizard's Wisdom, and you can find that on YouTube at Wizard's Wisdom. Just spell all the S's with Z's. So instead of wisdom, WISDOM, it's more spelled how it sounds to our ear, right? So it's wisdom, WIZDOM, and then wizards, the plural on the end is a Z. So wizardswisdom.com, that's our blog. So we're working on making that interesting. I have a few fun articles there, a Facebook page to go with everything, and we're just looking to put together a fun, lively, and uplifting community of wizards and people who want to learn and understand wizarding practices and how they can improve their lives with some of these really amazing and powerful distinctions.
Man, so that has to be a whole episode right there alone. No? So I want to jump into the topics just because I want to make sure we have time to talk about it. So today I call the people who listen right now Life Inquisitors. My fellow Life Inquisitors, thank you for listening. So right or wrong, is there such thing as right or wrong? What do you think?
Well, it's I'm you're asking a Buddhist, and someone who's, first of all, Shaolin Temple is also the mother of Zen Buddhism, so
Yeah. Yeah.
we can go around in puzzle circles, right?
Got it.
But
Okay.
look, I promise I won't torture anybody with that. It's okay. We'll try to be as direct as possible. Well, first of all, let me shoot a question back at you, right? What brought up this topic? What made you think of it?
I think what made me think of it is the understanding. Well, you got a taste of when I said treat everybody how you want to be treated, but it's treat everything, right? Even my thoughts. That's so. It came from there. I've known that I've been quote unquote wrong before when I thought I was right.
Mm.
So what's interesting to me is going. What if what I'm saying right now is wrong, but everything is telling me that it feels right now?
Sure.
So I wanted to bring it up because I've seen a lot of people around me, whether it was from in the military or in the acting when I was in the entertainment industry. There's a lot of people who know what they're doing, right? And then I would go to someone else who's either been doing it for longer or have a different experience level, or sometimes they respect the person who I'm trying to like say, but I'm saying this person did it, like this. Well, but this is the right way. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? To me, it's like, I would change, well, for me, I would change the language from right or wrong to, I like to think of everything as being efficient or not. So I go, is it efficient to what we're trying to accomplish, and how efficient as far as percentage ratios?
Sure. Yeah, so does it work or not? Is it an effective technology, or is it an inefficient technology or way of accomplishing something?
Right, so that's how it came up to me.
Yeah, well, this is excellent. This is an excellent point, and one that I think could use a lot more, not just dialogue in general, but a lot more honest and sincere dialogue. I think that people often get involved in these kinds of conversations, and and discussing right and wrong and what's right and what's wrong and all that can get very heated, and it can turn into really much more of an emotional and come from a very opinionated place.
Yeah.
And when something goes there, as far as I can see, it ceases to be a sincere, honest dialogue. And why do I say that? It's not because dismissive of people's intentions. I'm sure they're there trying to be as real as they can, but what's lacking in terms of like the honesty is like, when a dialogue or conversation is honest, what that means is that both of the people or all of the people involved sincerely really want to come up with an answer beyond what they think they know or don't know, right? Like you're committed to like let's really find the truth together, because what I have in mind, it may not be the right thing, it may be the right thing, but I don't have to be attached to my idea, and defend it as if it's my life on the line.
Yeah, like
right?
end all be all.
Yeah, so that's an honest conversation. It's like, we're committed to like, really, examining a topic, really examining an idea and looking for the truth, no matter what the cost, so to speak, right? If it costs me an idea, what? I want to be in those conversations because, and this is where I'm saying, where I show up as an honest and sincere conversator or dialoguer or scholar, if you will, right? Is I want to know if there's something up in here, if there's some idea or fact that is not quite right. I want to clear that out. I don't. How many times have I been, or have you, or any of us been, going through life, living the same mistake over and over because we think we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then running into a brick wall and wondering, why is that brick wall there? And why does my head still hurt?
So, but yeah, like these type of situations right here, like what do you have an example of some that you had to get over when you thought something was right or you thought something was wrong? Like, I'm not going to do that, but then it's like, man, I should have been doing that.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, there are dozens of situations I think that can come up, and I think probably, uh, I could discuss like a composite, a generalized
Okay.
scene, or an example based on maybe several of actual incidents in the past. But I would start by saying that there are so many. Okay, the difference is right and wrong real, right? I mean, going back to your first question, and I would say yes, in and it's very often relative, and we have to define terms and get clear about what we mean. Like when we're talking about knowing something is right or wrong, or you mentioned about it feels right, but it's wrong. So right there's an example of like there's a big difference between knowing something and feeling it. And with a lot of us, especially when we're younger or so forth, knowing and feeling are collapsed as concepts.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think if we're going to be honest with ourselves and sincere in our hero's quest for the truth, then we need to do a little work in extracting those two concepts from each other, uncollapsing them, so that knowledge and feeling can have two separate spaces. Certainly, our feelings can come from, it comes from our emotional minds. It is a way that our emotional minds know something.
Yeah.
Right. But this is a much more. It's a very rich, informational thing. Like your entire body feels it, right?
Yeah.
Like your whole nervous system lights up. But we have to remember that it comes from a much more basic part of the brain, something that's much earlier part of our evolution as organisms, as thinking creatures. And so the knowing part, what we're calling knowing, is generally, thinking knowledge. It's information that comes from the cerebral cortex, which is the most advanced part of the brain. And so that's the reasoning part of the mind. So while emotion can be a kind of knowing, it really is a very, very different animal.
Yeah.
It's a very, very different animal. So there's feeling and reasoning. So maybe we can think about it that way. Feeling and reasoning. So
I like that.
In our reasoning minds, that gives us an opportunity to know things on a much higher level, a much more developed level of logic. And I know it's not quite the simple answer, you ask somebody like me what's right and wrong, and that's what you get. There's more to it, we can.
Yeah, no, but I like that because I think I heard. I don't know who said it. Maybe it was even Buddha or Gandhi. One of these two said this. There's 4 types of understandings, and it's unconscious understanding. There's a conscious unconscious. There's an unconscious conscious, and then a conscious conscious. So these are 4 different understandings. I realized before I heard that, I coined or developed this thing that I call, we have a understanding, a know-a-standing, and a live-a-standing.
Mm-hmm.
When you say you have an understanding, it's like, yeah, I know that's a book.
Mm-hmm.
When we know it, it's like, okay, well, I picked it up, I felt it, and I've done stuff with it. A live-a-standing is I'm able to just utter it through my existence.
It's become your second nature.
Yeah. And you can, and on those 3 levels or stages or whatever you want to call it, there's an unconscious and a conscious understanding, awareness there of it. But I really like the 4 understandings because to me, it's like you're either experiencing something. That's where you just said the feeling. That's how I just broke it down in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the feeling of it, or if you just know something. But how do you know something? It's based off of your perspective and what you actually put in your data machine, the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I guess, going back to, I like the question that you said, like, where did it come from? So for me, I wanted to make it a conversation, and please, everybody, comment on this and say how you feel about this. What do you think is right, is wrong? Um, but our perspective is limited, so how much can we trust it?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, and our feelings, our emotional thinking, our emotional knowledge is going to occur is very strong, and it's much more compelling than logic and reason are.
So how did you come up with that?
Well, I mean,
understanding?
That is, first of all, personal experience dealing with myself, with other people, and it's also a really, really big part of research. It's part of the, common knowledge, or the commonly established scientific knowledge of the disciplines that I've studied. Right, so
I like that.
So that's one of the, and that is one of the really a great test, and something that nowadays that more and more of us are starting to appreciate, is the ways that we can help each other come to quote unquote right understanding, and that is, that's why there's empirical thinking, which is a process really which we can trace right back to the Buddha, right? Because that was part of the Buddha's mission, was to help people, because he had helped himself accomplish this state, right? To get to a place of right understanding, to clear thinking, to clearly being able to see the world as it is, rather than as he might imagine it.
I like that.
So
can we call clarity as being right? Let's call.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, but right and wrong. Like, it's so funny because right also means this part of the the body, and left means this. But when you think about that, when I think someone's right-handed, whatever. If someone's left-handed, does that mean they're wrong-handed?
Yeah.
Why don't we call it the right hand and the wrong hand?
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
So correct is probably another. I mean, that's another great synonym.
Yeah.
So is something correct or not? Well, context plays a huge role in something correct. Like, I'm wearing a jacket right now, right? Is it correct that I'm wearing this jacket? Well, let's consider the time of year it is. It's winter. It's cold in our studio right now, and I would say jacket's keeping me warm, so that's correct. Now, once the summer comes around, it's going to be boiling outside. It's going to be 110 degrees. And if I didn't have the air conditioner on in here, it would be 120 in here. Probably be a sauna. Would it be correct for me to be wearing a jacket at that point?
Yeah.
Probably not. So one of the best things that we can do, especially if we're really, really serious about getting clarity and understanding truth, and the appropriateness of that knowledge and that truth and so forth, is really to, what can we do to get out of our own heads? What can we do to be dispassionate? Can we disconnect from our emotions? I'll tell you, our emotional selves are great, and I'm not saying this to invalidate the emotional mind. No, the emotional mind, the emotional experience is very rich and is very valuable, especially. Let's say, there's a Bengal tiger behind you, chasing you. You're probably going to feel terrified, and I would assert that feeling of terror would be serving you pretty well, because it would be, getting you running up the tree, or to safety somewhere, right? So I mean, so it's got a purpose, right? And like if someone. Talk about an experience that, more of us maybe. A more familiar experience would be, let's say someone's going to take a swing at you, right? Well, you're not going to have time to like think about that. Okay, the hand is coming in. It's coming towards my face. Do I move or do I block or do I whatever? No, there's a hand coming at you. You feel that, right? And and of course, when you're doing martial arts, you're doing ninja stuff, right? You feel it before if someone's swinging at me, I'm feeling that punch before it would ever land.
Yeah,
that's my point, right? So, the punch comes out towards you, and you're right.
Yeah,
you make a movement, and so that is feeling. And where does that movement come from? The movement is part of the knowledge of the body. The feeling is part of the knowledge of the body, and it has all been practiced and imbued as second nature, like what we're talking about, the unconscious mastery. And that unconscious mastery started with the conscious focus and practice. So that you could consciously focus on mastering it, just like driving a car. I'm pretty sure that none of us started driving a car, talking on our cell phones. Okay, it's my first day on the road, and Dad's here next to me, and I'm multitasking, and I could. No, your conscious mind is like, oh my God, I need to do this, and you're trying to figure it out and think it through and all that sort of thing, and that's what you got to focus on. You better not be distracted when you're starting to drive. Once you're confident, once you've driven the car, now it has gone into the deep mind. Now you can feel it. Now you feel you're one with the car. Now, if somebody goes through life and their learning process has them feeling something that is perhaps not helpful to them, that's where you see that there are problem behaviors where, if somebody looks at you sideways, you're like, what you looking at me like that for? And you think that person's threatening to you, but that's what we would call wrong. Like a misinformation. It's a misinterpretation. So the feeling and that education for that person has been distorted. And so those are the kinds of behaviors, those are the kinds of thoughts that, as people that honestly want to improve ourselves, that we want to uncover and work out how to clear those errors out, and so we can stop making the same mistakes over and over, stop running into those walls.
I can talk about this forever. I don't want to make this a forever conversation, but I want to end it. I want to end this by saying, one, I hope you got something from Joseph. I did, and you said something, I'm just going to coin that. He said, the interpretation is wrong, so it's going to skew your emotions. Part of interpretation, that's why we're here, right? So if that interpretation, if we're learning to hone that and add more clarity to it, when emotioning happens or thoughts happen, we can make a move for the betterment, not only for ourselves, but for everything around us. I would like to end it there and say, thank you again. Where are you on Instagram and all this other jazz?
Yes.
People to find
I sigh. Why I'm sighing? Because it seems like every time I turn around, there's another platform to be on.
TikTok, Snapchat.
Oh my gosh! I thought Facebook. Facebook would be the end all be all. I wouldn't have to worry about anything else. I could just be on Facebook, but no. Wrong.
If people wanted to contact you, which platform do you feel okay using?
Sure. Well, look, Facebook is, again, Facebook has kind of been my ground, my center.
Okay.
Right. So Facebook is really the best.
Okay.
And so Wizard's Wisdom, just go to Facebook and /Wizard's Wisdom, and you're going to get to our page.
Okay. Thank you, my Life Inquisitors, and talk to you next time. Namaste.
Namaste.